Hello, everyone. This is Matt Thiede, and welcome to our 17th episode of Adapt Revolution, your weekly antidote to hate, greed, and ableism, where the D word is disability. Tonight, we have the absolute privilege of interviewing artists for the Off-Kilter Cabaret, which is coming up this weekend, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, November 17th, 18th, and 19th. And we have with us here one of the artists from the Off-Kilter Cabaret, part of Young Dance. I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your work and maybe the show and just whatever you want to share as part of the show coming up this weekend.
Cool. Yeah, my name is Gabriel Roderick, and I'm kind of have two roles in this show. I'm part of Young Dance, who's performing, and then I was also on the leadership team to help put the whole thing together. And mainly, I'm a musician around town. I do music, and more recently, in the last few years, I've been doing a lot of dance, and that's how I got hooked up to Young Dance and have been assistant teaching and now teaching there for 3 years. And yeah, really excited about the show. We've been planning it for almost a year now, and it's really come together, and I'm really excited to see all the artists perform, and it's a wide variety of disabilities and art and performance. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So just so you all know, the Off-Kilter Cabaret is being hosted at the Cole Center, downtown Minneapolis. That's 528 Hennepin Avenue, downtown. And it will be going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And hopefully we will get this episode up tonight so that we can get more people to the show. So I'm really stoked for that.
Yeah.
Really stoked
Yeah,
for
and Friday is 7 p.m., Saturday is 7 p.m., and Sunday is 2 p.m. And Sunday is a masks required event. Too,
Okay.
So
great.
Just for everybody to know.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to share about the show? Well, okay, here's a question.
Yeah.
This is the Adapt Revolution. We like to ask everyone that comes on the show at some point, what are your dreams for the Adapt Revolution? What does the world look like when the world adapts to us as much as we adapt to it?
Yeah.
You know, like, do you have any particular like dreams? Like, what is your reason behind doing your art? What gets you up every morning? You know, like.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty new to thinking about this idea of ableism and how we are oppressed as individuals with disabilities and limitations. I was injured 15 years ago. I have a spinal cord injury, and it's not really until the last few years have I kind of been starting to educate myself and starting to also just like realize like what this system is, you know. So I feel very fresh to it all.
Yeah.
But I think I'm learning a lot from Young Dance and our All Abilities class. Just being around young people with disabilities and young people with a wide range of disabilities, from cognitive to physical. And the more I'm teaching this class, the more I'm learning from these kids and from even Gretchen. I mean, Gretchen is the executive director of Young Dance and co-teacher in the All Abilities class, and she's been doing a lot of research on other programs who have disability dance programs and how they're operating. And but I think what I'm realizing most is when I go into class, I'm starting to feel this like sense of relief.
Yeah.
When I go in there, because it's that is so set up for able-bodied people, and buildings and stairs and ramps and noise and all the stuff that can limit us and impede us from moving through life. It's just been really kind of pretty profound for me to start opening myself up a little more in this class and feeling that sense of relief that I can be here as I am. I can move as I can move. I can move and be, and I don't really get to do that a lot throughout my life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of obstacles, and there's a lot of interpersonal stuff that I'm navigating all the time, every day. And not to say that it doesn't exist in this class, because I think we're still there are a lot of differing disabilities and physical limitations and cognitive limitations, so there's still a lot of learning that's happening there, but it is, I just keep going back to this idea of relief. I think that's the dream,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And disability pride and disability culture as the center of that, and
Yeah.
really celebrating all of those differences, and
Yes.
just celebrating the fact that we all get to come together, and that can feel more like home than anywhere else.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm getting at with relief, this idea of home. Because so many of us just don't have that feeling and that experience.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
And thanks for all the work you do to bring these artists together, and
Of course.
to be part of the fabric of all of this. I'm just really excited to be here.
Cool.
So thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, cheers.
Yeah.
All right, back to interviews for the Off-Kilter Cabaret happening this weekend. Our next artist that we're interviewing is named Braille. And Braille, who are you, first of all, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, well, I am an artist. I'm blind, deaf, and I have mobility issues, narcolepsy, and seizure disorder as well. So, it's a plethora of fun that's just going on. And I love art. I love creating, and I've always been interested in the arts and performing spoken word, as well as doing some music and photography, because the lens became my eyes. It was an extension of myself.
Yeah.
So it was a middle finger to society in a way, because I couldn't see what they wanted me to see or do what they felt like I should be able to do. Because back when people still don't have an understanding that blindness is not, from sighted to total. There's this gauge. Same with hearing.
Yeah.
And being young, they were like, oh, she just wants attention, so that was the understanding that they had. So they were ignorant. They weren't doing it to be harmful. But I also, at an early age, decided that it was not my place to educate the world, but to live my life, not to just exist. And for the disability aspect of it, it's not the total of who I am, but it is a part of me, and I have to embrace all of me. So I'm an artist that's blind, deaf, but I'm an artist. I'm a human being. I'm Braille.
Exactly. Thank you. Beautiful. For our next question, we'd like to know what inspires you about your work as an artist, and how does it connect you to community?
I would say civil rights, when it comes to being a person of color, when it comes to being a woman, when it comes to just being an individual, period, and noting that I had to help petition for voting machines, because it's a federal, it's a thing. But counties, they didn't want to do that for the blind, and I'm like, I have a right to my anonymity. I have a right to vote who I want to vote for, and to be able to trust that it's being filled out the way that I intend, and not have to entrust another person who could put down X, Y, and Z, and I would be none the wiser. So I think what draws me to community is the fact that we need a presence that's bigger and larger because we exist and we can't simply hide in our homes. We need to be able to vote freely. We need to be able to move about freely and to just be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. We would like to know next, what are your dreams for the Adapt Revolution?
More the same. I want the presence to be out there.
Yeah.
I think it should be known. I think we should be louder and prouder and band together, a community. And I do believe that there's a lot of segregation within disability communities because there's so many issues, there's so many things. Like, for instance, when it was just my blindness, I didn't realize that drop-off was a hindrance to someone in a wheelchair until I was in a wheelchair.
Uh-huh.
And so then I realized, oh, I need that to be able to cross the street. So it's like, until we talk to each other, we're not going to understand what the other individual is going through. And we'll only see it within our own bubble. And my feeling was, if I expect people who are sighted to understand what it's like for me to be blind, why wouldn't I want to understand what it's like for someone else that has another ability issue? So I think that we need a stronger presence. We need to band together, and then we can also rally together. We can also change rules, regulations, laws, and be known because we would be a community within a community, but not segregate ourselves from it.
Yes.
That's right.
That's a beautiful dream for the Adapt Revolution.
Yeah, it is.
I am right there with you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the show coming up?
Yes, I'm kind of dedicating it to my mother. She passed away on September 11th.
Okay.
And she knew that I couldn't see when I was very young. I had glasses at the age of 2, and she knew that I couldn't really hear. But because of the neighborhood and area in which we lived in, it was riddled with poverty and crime, and anything that was a challenge could be seen as a weakness. I had to learn how to mask, and she taught me. She would put her hand to my hand to her mouth, right? And say the words so I could understand how to say words and speak. And then she would say, touch, your lips to see that you're doing the same thing. So that love and compassion, and the fact that, and I'm speaking on technology and how it makes us less social. Social media, unfortunately, has become another tool that unfortunately divides. My mother had a rule, and it's when we were getting together, at least once a week, we would have to turn off all of the devices and just be present in the moment. And so my piece is about the harmfulness of what is to be social media, or what it has become, right, to us collectively, and also the beauty of just going outside if you have the ability to and just touch grass.
Amen.
And she'd be proud of that. She would love that.
Yeah. It's a beautiful dedication to your mother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's so great to meet you.
It's a pleasure.
I'm excited to see the show. We're going to be at the show on Saturday.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we are.
And
Nice.
this is going to be broadcast tonight, so we're going to make sure that
Sweet.
more people find out about the show
Thank you.
and get in those seats. So, all right, would you like me to walk you back?
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No.
All right, this is Cerulean and Beth, and we are here with another artist from the Off-Kilter Cabaret, AJ. So, AJ, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? If you want to talk about your art or your work or the show this weekend, anything you'd like to talk about.
Well, my name is AJ Isaacson Zwiedzwa. I am a classical violist and composer. I dabble in violin, but viola is much better.
Nice.
So for those
You would
wondering,
know.
wondering, a viola is similar to a violin, but it's bigger and it's lower and a whole lot cooler.
Nice.
I've been a classical music composer since I was 13.
Uh-huh.
On Halloween of my 7th grade year, I had a sprained ankle, so I couldn't go trick-or-treating.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
So, because the normal thing to do, I decided I was going to write a piece of music.
There you go.
Because that's what everyone does, right?
You're like, I've been
Yeah.
doing this for 4 years. I can turn something out on Halloween.
So I wrote
It's
a piece for string orchestra called Dance of the Goblins.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first piece I ever wrote.
Okay.
And then I got totally hooked
Wow.
and wrote like 60 pieces in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's how I got started composing.
Well, I would like to consult your music library because that sounds wonderful.
Oh, it does.
And Beth and I are going to be here for the show on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
we're
are.
very excited to see the show.
Yeah.
We like to ask people, what are your dreams for the Adapt Revolution? Like, what are your dreams for a future that is centered and grounded in disability justice?
Yeah.
I very much promote destigmatizing mental illness.
There you go.
Destigmatizing your what?
Mental
Mental
illness.
Oh, yes.
The
That
first
needs to
major
be
piece commissioned that I wrote was
Yeah.
called Angels Sang to Me,
Okay.
which is a 30-minute piece for soprano and string quartet
Yeah.
that explores my journey with schizoaffective disorder.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And so it goes through highs and lows, and there's a point in the piece where the singer is singing while the instrumentalists are speaking, sort of to simulate what it was like for me having hallucinations.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah, when you say hallucinations, do you mean like hearing voices that nobody else heard?
Sometimes I would hear things, sometimes I would see things. There's also what's called tactile hallucinations,
Okay.
which is when you feel things on your body that aren't there.
Okay.
So I've had all 3 types of those hallucinations.
Yeah, and I'm asking because I'm not in a good position to understand that because that component has never happened to me. I've suffered from depression, and one time a shrink, had labeled me as schizophrenic, which was clearly the wrong thing to label me. And then I was, of course, even more jokingly labeled as schizophrenic undifferentiated, within the medical model,
Yeah.
which I don't believe in for myself, but
Mhm.
whatever works for you is what matters.
So the first piece, when you talk about the first piece that you commissioned, can you talk a little bit about the difference between, like, you wrote your piece when you were 17, but then you commissioned a piece? Can you talk a little bit about the artistic process with that?
So this is going to be a really long answer to a short question.
That's fine.
So I did my undergraduate degree in viola performance, actually.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Then I went to graduate school for musicology, which is music history, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's why I had a major psychotic episode.
Okay.
And so I had to drop out of school, move back home,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up on disability.
Yeah.
I was bored out of my mind.
Uh-huh.
I did not do well
Imagine.
idle.
Uh-huh.
And so I contacted one of my former teachers and asked if he was taking composition students.
Yeah.
And so I started composing again,
Beautiful.
which I hadn't done for like 10 years.
Oh my god.
Good heavens.
So in 2020, I applied for a commission. So organizations will put out a call for applications if they want to fund a piece.
God.
Okay.
And so then the artists apply
Uh-huh.
for the commission.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I was selected for this commission by the Cedar Cultural Center
Good.
to write this piece of music.
Oh, how wonderful.
Nice. Exciting. And what work are you showcasing for the Off-Kilter Cabaret?
It's a piece called Soliloquy for solo viola.
Okay.
So it's about 9 minutes long. It's just me performing.
Solo.
When I applied for the Off-Kilter Cabaret, I had no idea what I was going to write. So I knew I was going to write something for solo viola, but what it was going to be, I didn't know.
Sure.
This has been a very tumultuous year for me.
Oh,
In January, my mom died of cancer,
so sorry to hear
which
that.
leaves me as full-time guardian and caregiver for my brother who has severe cerebral palsy.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, I was transitioning into taking care of him. Then in October, our grandma died of cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So writing Soliloquy was my way of processing my grief.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I can't wait to be a part of that performance on Saturday.
I'm looking forward to
I
it.
can't either.
Thank you.
On the other hand.
Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience before the shows this weekend?
Come to the shows.
All right. Get in those seats.
Before
Thank
they're
you,
gone.
AJ.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And all the best to you.
Thank you.
so excited to be here and just really. All right, hello everyone. We'd like to welcome another couple artists from the Off-Kilter Cabaret. We'll let you go ahead and introduce yourselves, and we'll learn a little bit more about your work.
I'm Mona Williams, and this is,
I'm Scott Swords.
and we are doing a puppet show. But last year I was here in the audience and saw Scotty's show and was so moved by it that I asked him if I could do something in the future, and he invited me to do this show. Not Norman.
Not Norman.
Worked for the Not Norning, a story of boy doesn't have a name.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your artistic process? What was it like creating the puppet show?
Scotty made all the puppets, but it was fun for me to go through the actions and actually be in a production with somebody else, because I've never done that before.
That's so exciting.
Yep.
That is exciting.
Beth and I are going to be at the show on Saturdays.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
We're very excited
Yep.
to see your puppet.
Scotty's been working really hard.
Brilliant.
I worked Not Norning. I have finished a fish and a dog and a snake.
That's a lot of
He
animals.
made them
That
all.
is.
Wow.
Yep.
Cool. Exciting.
Yep.
I can't wait to see them at the show on Saturday.
He's very talented.
Hey,
Good.
Who do you want?
Tammy, she's a helper that builds stuff and the production.
Yep,
Cool. And what is the puppet show called?
not Norman.
Not Norman. Okay.
Yeah, it's based on children's book.
All right, everybody. We'll get your tickets to the Off-Kilter Cabaret this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Tech Box at the Kohl Center downtown Minneapolis. That's 528 Hennepin Avenue. And we'll see you there.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Good job, Scotty. Hey, Scotty.
All right, everyone. The next artist that we're interviewing is Hua. And Hua is another artist that's a part of the Off-Kilter Cabaret that's happening this weekend. And Hua, would you like to introduce yourself and your art to start out with?
Hi, I'm Hua. I am a St. Paul-based comedian, actress, disabled person,
Yeah.
I guess. For the show, I will be doing a stand-up bit.
Exciting.
All right. I get into that.
I'm ready to laugh.
I
I'm
am
ready to
too.
laugh.
You'll have
I
to-
mean, I've changed it so much that I don't even know if it's funny anymore. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I just need to stop looking at
It might not be funny to you anymore, but I'm sure everybody in the
A lot
audience
of
is
other
gonna be
people
cracking
will.
up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Trust me,
I'm
they
betting
will.
on it. I'm betting on it. Can you talk a little bit about what drew you to comedy and how that's connected you to community and that sort of thing?
It's really funny because I mean, I always thought I was funny, but like I'm kind of like the kind of person who like just laughs at my own jokes.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Yeah.
think that I was like funny in the way that like other people would think I'm funny.
Uh-huh.
But it's actually community that brought me to comedy.
Oh.
Because it all started, I was a fan of a collective called the Funny Asian Women Collective.
Oh, sure. I've heard of that. Yeah,
Oh.
Yes.
absolutely.
I was a
think
fan
I've
of
heard of
them.
Yeah.
And I, kind of followed them around for a while. And not just them, but like the community around them
Yeah.
became my
Mhm.
community.
Wonderful.
And so when they're like, we're opening for auditions, I'm like, let me just try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
That's great.
accepted you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Good.
Mhm.
The Funny Asian Women Collective.
Yes.
We all need more funny Asian women in our lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, again, I hope we're funny.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you made it through the audition.
Right.
That's the proving mark, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
Yes.
yeah, if you were to
Yeah.
hear some of my jokes that make fun of politicians and doctors and lawyers, you would just really, you know, crack up. I mean, they're a screech.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, we would also like to invite people to our space in the Ivy Building, in the Seward neighborhood. It's called the Artery, and it's a very large studio space with a stage, and we're starting on the third Sunday
Of the month.
of the month to do a show called Spoon Factory,
Mhm.
which is like a disability cabaret.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, so and it's gonna be the third Sunday of every month, so.
From 6
And
to
we just
10.
want people to like, just call ahead, maybe be like, hey, I need this set up for that, because I want to perform on Sunday, and this is what I want to do, and that sort of thing, like, that's why I'm so excited to be here too, is because like we all just need to have a lot more fun together.
Yes.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
we do.
So,
Yes, definitely. I love that. I would, if you can give me like more information,
I
like
will
maybe
send the
through email.
artists all the information, and I'll publish it with the podcast episode
Yeah.
as well.
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is there anything else you want to share about, like, is there anything particular about the specific work the specific stand-up you're gonna present, or anything else you want to share with the audience before the show this weekend?
Well, I mean, I hope it conveys in my, set, but I guess I've been thinking a lot about how, such pretty words are thrown at us all the time. Like we're so inspirational and we're so, we give people a new lease on life and we're so brave and independent,
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't really do anything for us.
no, it doesn't.
Right.
Right. Like
Right.
it's the people who need to tell us this, that, it makes them feel some type of way when they, get the chance to let us know how great we are or whatever,
That's why it's so important that, like, okay, we're living disability justice every day because we're relating to each other and we have to get around. Like, it's not monumental. It might be completely brilliant and really earth-shatteringly cool. That's natural and normal. Like, that's everyday stuff in the disability community,
Right.
It's not rocket science. It's just like we had to figure something out.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
yeah.
And so I kind of just, kind of riff off of that.
Uh-huh.
Just because like,
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. And I think we all are
too.
kind of tired of it,
Yeah.
Because people can like call us inspirational all they want.
Oh,
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, we're still struggling. And
Yeah,
all
we
these
are.
people who call us inspirational,
Are not looking
they're not.
after anything for like, hey, are you still good? Are you still good? Are you still
Right.
good?
Mhm.
Or
What's up? What's up? What's up? Real community,
right, exactly.
connection,
Exactly. Yeah.
changing systems,
Exactly. Yes.
changing system stuff so much. It's so
Right.
important. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Like
shit,
yeah.
yes.
right. Like I'm an inspiration, quote unquote,
If I'm an
because
inspiration, give me a house and this and that and this other thing. Like, if I'm so inspiring, then where's my blank check?
yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Give
yes.
me better transportation.
Yes.
If you give if I'm so inspirational.
If I'm so
me a
inspirational,
labor
can we
union.
just have a vote that our the city shovels
Yeah.
every winter instead of having it be homeowners?
Right.
Because I have to get out the door by like 7:30 every morning. Some people they don't want to get up until 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
And or some people who own these homes, are not going to get out there until way after
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
And then even when they do shovel, it's like it's not uniformed. So
Yeah.
some people might think they're done just because it's all flat or whatever.
But they literally need to clear the whole sidewalk,
Right,
like completely.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
completely.
yeah, and so there needs to be, a consensus on, when
The
it's
city
done.
does this every morning at this time. I know that this is the schedule for this
Yes.
sidewalk. Okay.
Yes.
Without
Yes.
fail.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, we're so inspirational. Can you all come together and do that for us?
Yeah.
That's something I've literally been talking about literally every winter,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but just things like
Yes.
that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm right there with
Yeah.
you.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of what my piece is about.
Cool.
That's what I'm about. I guess another funny thing that I would say about this show is like,
Mhm.
I mean, maybe that's it's not funny, but like,
No,
I do
understand.
also I've seen a lot that like say the disability community, or like spaces like this, are very white.
White. Oh,
Yeah,
It's
it's
terrible.
very white, and like I came to the last show and everyone was white.
Mhm.
yeah.
And
It's alienating.
so I'm kind of like, let me be in this show. Like you guys need diversity,
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me
Mhm.
just, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because I'm a very intersectional person, of course. I am mom, I am disabled, I'm a woman, and I think that
Yeah.
needs to be said and like,
Yeah.
Point.
yeah. Yeah, and we all deserve
Yeah.
to be around lots of different people and not just like white people. White people should not be the absolute center of any kind of arts community, like, we're all artists, we all
Right.
deserve to get our stuff out there. We're coming from where we're coming from, and people need to hear our stories regardless, especially
Absolutely.
BIPOC people, queer people, people of, people with disabilities, regardless of your disabilities.
Yeah.
Like disability pride and disability culture is a real thing.
Right.
Like,
Very
there are all
well
kinds
said.
of aspects of diversity that make things work better. Things work better when they're more diverse.
Yes.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's reality.
Well, yeah, that's me.
Cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, there once was a book written by a disabled woman by the name of Carolyn Rouso called Stop Calling Me Inspirational. And it, expressed some of the same crap,
Mhm.
that you were talking about that I read.
Mhm. Yeah, and then
About-
also like when you're just kind of just going through your life and you're being called inspirational and winning
It can be
awards,
insulting.
and it's like, what did I do? I didn't do anything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just kind of weird. I've always thought it was kind of weird,
Yeah.
getting all these praises, and I'm kind of just like, I kind of just jumped out of bed. I didn't even comb my hair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, like I got up today. Congratulations.
Yes.
I win the getting up award.
yes.
Now that kind of
Okay.
BS.
Yes.
So,
So, yeah.
all right. Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you
Blood.
so much.
And
Oh,
we're excited to see the show. And
oh, yeah.
I am gonna save up all my laughs for your segment.
Yes, and also I
Absolutely.
welcome all feedback.
Great.
If
Definitely.
if it's not funny, let me know. Let
Cool.
me,
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
All right.
By all means.
Sweet. You too. All right. Hello, everyone. We have another artist that we are going to interview from the Off-Kilter Cabaret coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, November 17th, 18th, and 19th here at the Kohl's Center on 528 Hennepin Avenue in downtown Minneapolis. And this is Tessa. And I'm going to let Tessa introduce herself.
Yes.
And introduce yourself, your art, anything you'd like to to start out.
All right. My name is Tessa. I'm a dancer choreographer here in the Twin Cities, and I use she, her
Okay.
pronouns.
Great.
Oh, good.
So we'd like to know what's important to you about your work. How does it connect you to community?
I've always been someone with a very abstract and arguably a little overactive imagination. And so for me, in some ways, you know, my work can be very grounding and bring me back to the present and staying in the moment. It can also give me that outlet to really lean into that and not feel so obscure because of it, and be in a space where that's enjoyed and appreciated.
How did you come to your work as a choreographer?
Well, ever since I was a little kid, I've just always been a mover and a creator. And then in college, I explored a couple avenues of studying and then just found my home back at dance. And that was what I really wanted to continue pursuing. And I always thought, you know, I'm just going to be the dancer, the performer. And I found that I actually really loved the creative process. And that was very meaningful for me.
That's awesome.
That is
So
awesome.
can you tell us a little bit about the piece that you'll be presenting for the show this weekend?
So for me, one of the biggest struggles with my disabilities has always been socializing, especially being in the generation that both, I don't want to say normal, but pre-cell phone age, and then growing up with the uprising of social media and the duality of, you know, this is really cool in the sense that it can bring people together and you can form online communities. But it's also a double-edged sword, and there is a lot of harm that comes with phones and social media. And for me in particular, I have just found it really hard to find a group of people that I resonate with, just because everyone is always on their phones and it's really difficult to make meaningful connections that way.
Yeah, I agree. We've heard more and more people talking about that, just the, you know, the challenge of people, you know, for so long being kind of obsessed with technology and the idea that it's always going to be making our lives better. But what have we lost out on in terms of, you know, those really simple connections between each other? And yeah, I'm excited to see this piece.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have any dreams for the Adapt Revolution? And when we say that, we mean like for a future that's rooted in disability justice. What does that feel like to you? Or what are some things that come to mind when you think of that?
Yeah, I think for me, and again, my experience, I feel like is different just because my disabilities are not inherently visible. I think acknowledging that invisible disabilities are real. They do have different struggles than someone with physical disability. And I feel like there's a very ableist perspective of, you know, this is something everyone struggles with. Everyone falls on these spectrums of depression and anxiety. And while I do think there is some truth to that, I also think acknowledging that for some, it's more than just a funky feeling every now and then. For some, it is life-changing, and it really interfere with day-to-day functioning. So for me, I guess just the destigmatization and I guess less normalization of that would be huge.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so too.
We want to invite everyone to our space at the Ivy for the Arts building in the Seward neighborhood. We're going to be starting to have an event. It's starting this Sunday. So some people from this show might not, well, it's later in the day. So, but it is a disability soiree, and it's a cabaret of sorts. We want people to know that they can come, sign up to show new work or do whatever they like. And we're focusing it on the disability community, and it's going to be called Spoon Factory.
Ooh.
So it's from 6 to 10 on the third Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would love to build community with the artists from this show, and you know, just continue to really feel into the fabric of what it means to celebrate disability pride and disability culture and art all at once. You know, so thank you for being a part of that. I'm really excited to see the show. We'll be here on Saturday. And to everyone in the audience, make sure that you get your tickets for the Off-Kilter Cabaret happening this weekend. And thank you so much, Tessa.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Oh, I think she's saying